Why Sweden is suddenly declaring war on immigration. It's 2015, and Sweden has just made a pivotal decision. They opened their borders to around 163,000 refugees, primarily from Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan. This event marked the climax of a massive migration wave, with Sweden accepting more asylum seekers per capita than any other European country at that time. In a mere decade, starting in 2010, the percentage of foreign-born individuals in Sweden surged from 14.3% to 25.9% of the population. Migration itself isn't a new phenomenon in Sweden, which has seen migration since World War II, but over the last 30 years, the number of migrants has steadily risen, reaching record highs that have more than doubled previous peaks. However, in recent years, public sentiment toward immigration has shifted drastically, with Swedes now adopting a much firmer stance against it. Sweden has struggled to manage the influx of 165,000 people. Their earlier generosity has left the country grappling with serious challenges. Once known for its peaceful and safe reputation, Sweden has now gained an unsettling title, the gun murder capital of Europe. Since 2023, Sweden has begun a radical transformation of its policies, shifting from a focus on integrating refugees to actively repatriating them to their home countries as soon as conditions permit. In 2021, only 25% of Swedes believed that integration efforts for most immigrants were even somewhat successful, a number significantly lower than the EU average. Since the implementation of new laws, the Swedish Migration Agency has tripled the number of revoked permits, with over 6,000 individuals losing their right to remain in the country since January 2023. Amendments effective from December 1, 2023, have also tightened rules on family reunification for refugees and asylum seekers, introducing higher age limits and stricter financial requirements. These measures have sparked significant debate both domestically and internationally. Critics argue that these policies endanger people and compromise their legal rights. From the outside, this might seem shocking, as Sweden, like its Nordic neighbors, has often been viewed as a liberal haven with a strong welfare system and a generally welcoming attitude toward immigration. However, this perception has soured in recent years as integration challenges have coincided with a sharp rise in migrant-related gang violence, particularly in the nation's major cities. This rise in violence has fueled the popularity of right-wing parties such as the Sweden Democrats, whose campaigns largely focus on reducing immigration. This raises a significant question. If immigration has been rising steadily in Sweden for decades, why is it only now reaching a breaking point? Sweden, one of the world's wealthiest countries with an average annual salary of around $50,000, has long been synonymous with safety. Whether through its historical neutrality, low crime rates, or innovations like the seatbelt, Sweden has developed a reputation for public safety and social stability, which has become ingrained in its national identity. But many Swedes feel that the large wave of asylum seekers since 2015 threatens this way of life. A study examining public attitudes towards migration revealed that, by 2017, more than half of respondents believed that terrorists posing as refugees had entered the country and committed violent acts. These views were also linked to a broader fear of rising crime due to migration. Over the past decade, Sweden has experienced a significant increase in gang-related violence, with a notable rise in shootings and bombings. Since 2013, the number of fatal shootings has more than doubled, pushing Sweden from having one of the lowest rates of gun violence in Europe to the second highest, surpassed only by Albania. This surge in violence is closely tied to organized crime, often involving individuals from immigrant backgrounds, particularly in cities such as Stockholm, Gothenburg, and Malmö. A recent government study found that people born abroad are 2.5 times more likely to be registered as crime suspects compared to native Swedes with two Swedish-born parents. However, it's important to recognize that these statistics can be misleading, as immigrants are more likely to belong to demographics that typically have higher crime rates, such as young males. Even when adjusting for factors like age, gender, and living conditions, individuals with foreign backgrounds in Sweden are still more likely to be registered as crime suspects. Foreign-born individuals are 1.8 times more likely, and second-generation immigrants 1.7 times more likely to be suspected of criminal activity. A significant contributing factor to these issues is Sweden's integration policies. In the past, Sweden spread immigrants across the country to avoid overburdening major cities. Many immigrants successfully integrated, despite a period of adjustment for learning the language. However, the large and sudden influx of asylum seekers in 2015 overwhelmed Sweden's integration system, which wasn't equipped to handle such high numbers efficiently. The strain created logistical challenges, such as finding temporary housing and processing asylum claims. Experts believe that the problem wasn't in welcoming immigrants, but in the sheer number admitted within such a short period. Many of these newcomers settled in impoverished suburbs, struggled to integrate, and felt disconnected from Swedish society. This has led to elevated levels of poverty and reliance on government welfare among immigrants. Migrants, particularly those from non-European countries, face much higher poverty rates compared to native Swedes. Between 2013 and 2023, the poverty rate for citizens born outside the EU ranged from 30% to 40%. Whereas the rates for EU-born and native Swedes were much lower, at 15%, 20% and 11%, respectively. Poverty, in turn, drives crime, often violent crime. A US-based study found that the 10% of people living in the poorest counties had nearly 6 times the homicide rate of those in the wealthiest counties. This connection between poverty and crime has become a concern for many Swedes, with Malmö serving as a stark example. Located near the Danish capital of Copenhagen, Malmö has taken in more migrants per capita than any other Swedish city, receiving up to 2,000 refugees daily by the end of 2015. Today, Malmö, with a population of around 350,000, is home to people from 179 different nationalities, and 1/3 of its residents were born outside of Sweden. The sudden population influx has forced many migrants to live in poor conditions, like Malmö's Rosengård estate, which has become notorious for crime. Malmö now has the highest crime rates in Sweden, particularly for gun-related incidents. The city has also struggled with integration, with Sweden's prime minister citing it as an example of parallel societies. Economic concerns also play a role in Sweden's changing attitude toward immigration. Welfare states can lose popular support if they are seen to disproportionately benefit immigrants. The Swedish welfare state is a cornerstone of life for its citizens, known for its generosity. But this wasn't always the case, and many Swedes, especially older generations, remember when such benefits couldn't be taken for granted. The extensive welfare system didn't fully develop until after World War II, with significant expansions occurring in the 1970s. Sweden's high taxes have long funded this system, but increased migration has placed new pressures on the welfare state. The welfare model relies on a delicate balance. Some people benefit more than they contribute, while others contribute more than they receive. But this equilibrium starts to falter when more people draw from the system without contributing sufficiently. Refugees, in particular, earn significantly less than other migrant groups and are more dependent on welfare support. In 2022, the average income for foreign-born workers in Sweden was just 77% of the native population's earnings. Among immigrants from Africa and Asia, earnings were even lower, at 63% and 68% of the native average, respectively. The disparity extends to unemployment rates. In 2019, 15.7% of foreign-born workers were unemployed, compared to just 3.9% of the native labor force. Such unemployment further strains the welfare system, affecting both immigrants and the broader Swedish society. Due to concerns about crime and the welfare system, the percentage of Swedes viewing immigration as more of an opportunity than a problem has dropped significantly, from 45% to 31%. In response to public opinion, Sweden has introduced a series of more stringent policies. One of the most controversial measures has been the increased deportation of migrants. Stricter asylum rules mean that those whose claims are denied are being sent back to their home countries more quickly. This has been coupled with efforts to revoke residency permits, with some individuals being detained in centers or placed under electronic monitoring while awaiting deportation decisions. It's important to note that Sweden isn't entirely against immigration. Migration is essential for many Western economies, including Sweden's. However, recent policies have aimed to favor high-skilled immigrants over low-skilled ones. New labor laws now require work permit holders to earn at least 80% of Sweden's median salary, a move designed to attract highly skilled workers who can contribute to the economy and the welfare state. While these changes are separate from asylum cases, they also help limit the number of lower-paid, lower-skilled workers entering the country. In addition, Sweden has reduced the number of resettled refugees it accepts, decreasing from 5,000 in 2022 to just 900 in 2023. The country has adopted stricter policies than many other European nations as it seeks to address its integration challenges. While Sweden continues to face labor shortages, particularly in high-skilled sectors, asylum seekers are often unable to fill these gaps quickly. The Nordic region, once viewed as a welfare utopia for immigrants and refugees, now faces difficult questions about how to balance its commitment to social support with the challenges of migration. As other European countries watch these developments, it's possible that Sweden's approach may inspire similar measures elsewhere. Before you go, if you'd like the video, do subscribe, hit the bell icon. Thank you for watching.